go. We're good. Fleur, it is so amazing to finally meet and talk with you. Since I've been a kid, I've read about you. You've shaped everything to me. You really shaped everything and a way of life for a lot of us. You know what I mean? It's insane.
Well, it's interesting when you say that because I mean, probably for the past 10, 15 years, people have said, oh my God, you've got to write a book. The stories, the shit that you have, you know. And I remember when I first met Spinal Tap and sat down with the guys, you know, it was like everything's like an interview. You know, you've got 5 minutes to impress, so to speak. And we started chatting and everything. But eventually I said, look, I just got to tell you, your story in the limousine was interesting. But could I certainly beat that with a lot of stories, you know? And Harry Shearer's going, come on, give us something, give us something, you know?
Let's just start with Van Halen. I feel like you pulled us out of the 70s. You know, they were satin jackets at the roller rink, and you made them look like the music sounded. How did all these different colors work in these swatches? And what's the
well, I think sometimes in every band there is a reason why it happens. Now, David Lee Roth,
right,
is why the beginning happened. I mean, when I first met him, I spoke to him on the phone briefly, and he was a bit busy at that moment on the road, so I didn't ask any questions. But you know, eventually he came and met me at the studio, and when he walked through that door frame, he filled it. Yes. This, I mean, literally shook.
You know, I mean, I get it.
Oh, holy moly. You know, and he comes in with that swagger and that drawl, and hey, it's really nice to meet you. Hey, you know, and I'm like, I'm going to crumble. If he touches me, I'm going to crumble. You know, and so he's such a showman, and he's so articulate. You know, he's very, very smart. You know,
I feel like he was the Morrison. It was Morrison than him, as far as these men, these worldly men. That, you know what I mean? I wasn't alive
It's so funny when I first met him talking. I said, it's really strange. I don't even know if you know who this person is. I said to him, I said, you remind me of Jim Dandy. Remember Jim Dandy? Jim Dandy
from Black Oak, Arkansas. Yeah.
Swagger and the long hair and there was a little bit of that. You know, but David had the gab. I mean, he could just steamroll you, you know, with the mouth and the articulateness. So, you know, we sat and we talked, and I'd already been to Japan a couple of times, and he loved Japan, you know. So there were mutual things. I wasn't just a chick coming into the room. You know, I had a background, I had a life. The things I said made sense. I didn't waste his time. I was articulate. If he thought of things that might be relating to a movie, I'd seen the movie. It's like working with a director who says,
oh, yes,
to do this scene. And I go, yeah, we'll keep talking. And they go, do you mean like in? And he goes, yeah, that's it. So you've got to have a background of sensibilities, you know, whether it's fashion movies, you know, like your Audrey Hepburns or your Grace Kellys, you know, they had huge effects on me in the way I dressed women, you know, and everything. So with David, we sort of got into it, and he talked about what he wanted with the pants being red in the front and black in the back, and, you know, lace up the front and this and this and this, and then just some really glary shirts. He didn't really want things that matched.
That's, you know, and that resonated through my deck. Like, that's where it changed. Okay, so let's talk about, you
know, so it was really like, it was almost Bad Taste is timeless, you know, and that was a thought that somebody said, you should call your book that, you know, Bad Taste is timeless.
But that's what the music sounded like with Van Halen, and that's why the music was beautiful. So it was high art to me, because you have blues, you have metal, and that's the clothes were representative of the band.
Well, exactly. And I mean, of course, you get this godsend of a fabulous young man called Eddie Van Halen, you know, who just comes in and makes Jimmy Page go, holy moly, you know. And so it all comes together. Plus
that with David Lee Roth, he looked at Van Halen as his art project. With Sammy, it was the band. It was David Lee Roth's art project, his sonic backdrop, that he could have been writing books, doing plays, but that was his sonic art project. And it was the perfect.
It was Sammy's vocal range. I mean, I was familiar when Sammy was solo. What was the name of the band Sammy was in before?
Well, he was in Montrose, then he went solo.
Montrose, yeah, yeah. And I can remember Montrose, listening to Montrose and things like that. And so, of course, you know, when I heard that single, I went, whoa, now that's a different Van Halen.
Yeah, it was great.
His voice, you know, Sammy's voice just ripped through everything, which, of course, now Eddie was more of a partner.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He was in there following the vocals, you know, whatever. But yeah, but with David, David is a perfectionist. You know, you had to make sure you didn't get on the bad side, you know, because he let it rip. He had very little patience. But I understood that completely, because I'm not saying everything has to be perfect, but you've got to understand the purpose. And if you don't get the purpose, you're going to cock up. And you're going to have people who are unhappy, you know, and once they're unhappy, and because people say, I can't believe that the extent that you go to, you'll be up till 4 a.m, 5 a.m, if it means you can get something finished that will go on a set in a video at 6, because it's better than what you started with.
Yes.
You know? And I said, but I can't help that. That's just me. It can be better. It can be better, you know, and you push and you push. And often you can't always push staff, you know, because, yeah, we love you, but, you know, right. And when the manic moments would arise, the staff would be saying, would someone bloody go and get her some Baskin and Robbins and shut her the hell up, you know, because the sugar rush, you know, but I mean, I was blessed, I have to say, you know, I did my training, I did what I was supposed to do, and I got to be the chosen one. But if I had have cocked up on Van Halen, it would have been the end.
Well, I read, if you read the Steve Jobs biography, people can bitch about him, but I think they bitch about him because he works so hard. He'd go make computers and go to Pixar. You're the same way. When people run hard, I mean, it's just, he's the best, you're the best. When you're the best, when you own something, like there's Steve Jobs and everybody else, there's Fleur and there's everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think it's true. And I have found it more so the years I've been here in Australia, which I have been of great detriment to me, you know, as far as the circumstances that put me back in Australia and so on and so on. But people in Australia just look at me and go, well, how did you get to do that? Do you know what I mean? It's this really meaning sensibility. Yet in LA or in America, I don't have to explain myself. The Scorpions gave me birth in Europe, you know, Aussies given me birth in London or whatever, you know, and the photographers from Ross Helfand to Niels Lozow to Mark Weiss, you know, they've all given me birth, and even down to the Claude Mejans and the Herb Ritzes, and, you know, they'd say, oh, we'll bring Fleur and she'll be cool, she'll do it, and so on. So, but you're in anything, you're only as good as your last gig.
Totally.
Oh, and I never had an agent. I never had a manager. The calls just came in, and it's like, as soon as something else with MTV, then it just went mental. It totally went mental, because I was the only person that worked in TV. I'd done a lot, you know, with Olivia at BBC specials in London. Things. You know, some people never get a hook on as to why things work and why they don't, you know. And one of my great friends, a gentleman by the name of Patrick Woodruff, who's one of the top lighting designers. I mean, the man is brilliant. We met up, I think, with Rod Stewart. Then I worked with him on Donna Summer. And then I worked with him on many things. And we've stayed really good friends. And so whenever AC/DC is coming out or Rolling Stones, I go, tickets, Patrick, tickets, you know, and he gets me right in there, you know. And I'm so thrilled for him, because he got an OBE for the lighting for the London Olympics. And, you know, he was so brilliant. But he's one of those that the mind goes further than just a show, you know. And I always let lighting designers know, I understand, I'm happy to come sit with you. I'm happy to see what you're doing with your follow spots, and particularly when it wasn't all computerized.
Yeah.
And what they don't, as to what they were going to do, and because God forbid fans would think any stage show is already set.
Right.
It's live, but don't walk out of that follow spot or you're going to be in the dark, you know. So I enjoyed that and coming out. And sometimes I'd take the sketches or sometimes I'd take the fabric along and they'd go, oh, is he going to wear that there? Well, we'll do, hey, we can bring something else in here. We can do this, we can do that, And particularly if you're working with someone like Rod, who will go anywhere into anything and take his jacket off and turn it inside out, or you know what I do. He to me is one of the consummate performers. He
gosh,
really,
yes. Oh, I mean,
and he's probably where I often say that the bad taste is timeless, from the spandex jumpsuits and the leopard skins and do you think I'm sexy? And
I love the later eras. I love the Young Turks. Some of those later eras are just, of course, Faces, he's writing the template, but some of those 80s eras were just so cool with him, man. It was so cool with the disco bass. I love when the bands were confused and kind of disco, kind of rock. I thought that was such a cool fashion time and musical time. Remember, I was a little confused, but looking back, how great was that time, the music and the fashion.
Well, it was great in the sense that, I worked with Rod for 25 years.
Okay.
Pretty much the only person doing it from when I met him, 77, through to 2000. And it was a very easy thing to do. We worked well together. He knew I gave him something that was one less thing he had to worry about, one less thing he had to chase down, one less of everything, whether he's going through turmoil, divorce, whatever it is. I could come in, say, okay, fine, bye, I'll see you in 2 hours. Off to the fabric store, get some sketches done, come up. And he'd sit down and he'd go, you want a cup of tea? Okay, we'll have a cup of tea. What have you got? And we'd go through it and he would go, that. And that was that. Do you know what I mean? It was because I knew the tools to give him to make the decisions, rather than.
Yeah, there's synergy. I mean, they call it mirror neurons. I kind of think I'm pretty good with it where you see what's going on in the room and you can mirror it and you understand, then you shoot it back out. And you obviously can mirror where someone's at and what they're feeling. I mean, that's reading the room.
Well, I think so. And I think I have an incredible sense of perception. I'm a definite split personality. Olivia used to say, if Sybil's coming over today, please don't bring 2 and 4.
That's correct.
Okay. I'll come the happy one and the mid-range. I won't come with the maniac, but it worked for me, the manic, and the ability to just keep going and ideas and ideas and ideas just rolling off you. Some of them probably sucked and you threw them out, but something would stick.
Well, that's just like the albums we're talking about. There were songs that were thrown away. It's the true artist journey you're talking about.
Yeah, because you do what you. I mean, I can remember starting with something and going, I wonder if they'll go with this, or I wonder if we'll go, and come a little bit left field, and particularly like say with David Lee Roth when he said, the red in the front and the black in the back, and then he went to the striping. Where he's got yellow and back, the argyling, the stripes coming to the black and white, and so on and so on, And it's funny, I won't have to write the book after I finished.
But it was concise and it's I think your headspace is so more. All these artists are great, but it's your headspace that's just so like I'm sure you could write volumes about. That's what's really.
Well, it is what it is, and I'll just throw this little one in, but. We got down to rehearsals, a girl who worked with me, and we went down to rehearsals, and she really just wasn't into the whole rock persona and couldn't give a damn, And I think we maybe got down there at 7, and I think it was about 11 that we got to actually do fittings, and you're sitting around. She goes, oh, let's just leave. I said, we haven't got the guarantee of the check yet. We will be staying. It's like, I'm not walking out. That's not cool. And so anyway, so David, okay, sorry to keep you waiting, comes over. I give him the clothes, and the pants are red in the front and black in the back. That's the concept. He comes out and he's in a foul mood. He's got them on that they're black in the front and red in the back. And he lets rip. He's obviously pissed off because he's been so late at rehearsals. And I'm going, if I say out loudly, David, you've got them on back to front, he's going to get more pissed.
Oh, yeah.
So I walk over very quietly whisper in his ear. So he goes back inside and he comes out with a different pair on. Because he doesn't want to make anything that the crew can get on him for, so you've got to keep your presence. You've got to keep on the king. I don't make mistakes. But it was just really interesting. His need to rule. And I don't know that it was an intentional thing to make me look bad. Do you know what I mean? I think it was much about him, for whatever reason, But anyway, problem solved. We were there for an hour. Everything's happy. Everybody's cool. Eddie's happy. Alex is happy. You get home at 2:00, but there's a sense of satisfaction that you don't get working at the supermarket.
No.
It's and so our lives mixed a lot. I'd get a phone call at the studio saying, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Let's go get sushi." And there used to be a sushi restaurant in Gower Gulch, which is just from SIR Studios, Studio Rentals, right?
Yeah.
So we'd frequently meet there, have the sushi, carry on. And then when Flippers came out, Flippers was a roller skating rink.
Okay, I love roller skate, but I don't. Okay,
yeah, which was on the corner of Fountain and La Cienega. It became a huge shopping thing after that. But we would go there. The bands would come. There'd be bands playing in the middle of it. Queen, if they were in town, they'd come down, and Whitesnake would come down. I remember Thingo Murray. Oh, what's his first name? Who was in the first Whitesnake, or probably Deep Purple? Ian? No.
Ian Gillan?
No. That's another voice I love.
Oh, so good. I love him.
I went to see Deep Purple in Melbourne at the same place that I saw the Beatles and the rest of them as in the 60s. But it just was this great place that bands felt comfortable there, to come have a few drinks. And David would always want to be blading, and he was so good at it, of course. So he just grabbed me by the arm and just hurled me around the rink, say, "Come on, you can go faster. You can go faster." I go, "If I go down, I'm taking you down with me." He goes, "No way." We did never crash, but we became friends, as well. And it was funny that one time he was going to Tahiti, and he goes, "Why don't you come? Why don't you come?" And I'm going, No, I don't think so. I think we'll just back off here,
Yeah, you did learn,
I already think you're amazing. It won't be hard if you keep pushing the question, but I'm leaving it alone, that sort of thing. But we were good mates, and we'd come across each other at different times over the years, and you get to know their natural human nature.
Yeah.
And there is always a show. The band you meet backstage at meet and greet,
right?
Those you're expecting to see them drunk, falling down, being crude, and then when they leave, they're normal.
Yeah, right.
It's a heckle and jive. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen, is watching them going through the motions, particularly over the years when it came to where I could die if I keep this up.
Right. Yeah.
And so there's a bit of role modeling to do, because there's an expectation, but I saw Nikki 2005 in Australia, and I didn't realize, but I had tickets to go for 2015, but they went to junk mail.
Oh man!
So till the next day, I went, "Oh, son of a bitch!" I thought they'll go, "Oh, great, we get her tickets," and she doesn't turn up. So I rang and apologized. I was so pissed off, and so it's great to just chat backwards and forwards and see how he's doing, and that has peace at last.
Yeah, in Wyoming now, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean his photography is just something else.
Mark White was actually giving him credit on the show. I think it's great, but he's like, no, he's great. And the thing about
he's really good.
I don't know if you know Kim Fowley. I read your name when I was a kid. Kim Fowley gave me my rock and roll training when I got to LA. And he said, David Lee Roth and Nikki Sixx have this gift, and you got to study it, where they take the light in a room that's shot out into them, and then they recycle it. Then they shoot it out bigger and brighter and make everybody brighter. And that's what's special about those two beings.
And you know what? He's dead on. I met Kim Fowley and Rodney Binghamheimer. They brought me in for the Runaways.
Okay, because Kim, what you're saying reminds me of Kim. When I worked with Kim, let's write 15 songs and record them tonight. I hung in there. I mean, that's how you, there was no like, hey, can we have a week? You know what I mean? There's no, I have a week. Let's make an album tonight. Now, what do you mean in a month? You know, but it's the breed that you're talking about.
But it's also there. I mean, he had a sense of arrogance about him in his manner sometimes.
Totally.
And when I first got to America, and this is going back, when I first got to America with Daryl Cotton, you know, he was a great singer, and he went into a band with Michael Lloyd and Stevie Kipner. Now, Michael Lloyd used to produce Sean Cassidy, the Osmonds, Leif Garrett, Neil Diamond, the very early of MGM Records, Mike Curb Records, very, very early. So Michael Lloyd knew Kim Fowler. And so then when this came up, Michael goes, oh, I've got the person, because they wanted to have a female round the Runaways. Just
okay.
Do you know what I mean? Because they were 16 or something, you know. So I'm like mother egg, you know. Okay. So it was very interesting coming into that. This has got to be 72, 73. I arrived in America 72. Okay. No, 73. The night I arrived, I was watching Watergate.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
Was going down. And I think the New Seekers one, I want to teach for Grammy for I want to teach the world to sing. I think the Grammys were on that night, and people forgot to come and pick me up from the airport. And I did not know how, I didn't know how to use the phone box. Yeah. You know, so I mean, from my early beings of making clothes in the 68, 69, 70, I then come into America and I'm put again into a space. So everything was a learning curve. It's like somebody had given me a book, and if you follow the main rules in it, you will get to the end. So I think I have to say that my success is purely because of the artists I worked with that gave me credence to do what I did. You know, they supported me, they backed me. Nothing ever just happens. It's never a one-way street. You know, so with Van Halen, it's sort of David, he more or less ran the machinery. You know, I just did my job, he did his job, you know. And I think anybody often going into things, I think they realize it's a little tougher than maybe it used to be, but because of the competition. But then if I shift from that, in that same era, I'm working with David, I'm working with Rod. I now have Sean Cassidy, Andy Gibb, Leif Garrett, ELO, Chicago. I've got these other things coming at me. I've already been working with Helen Reddy, Raquel Welch, Marilyn McCoo from Solid Gold. They're all just coming. And someone like Raquel, I worked with probably on and off for 20 years, you know, doing all sorts of things, you know. And so then you get to the 80s, and then you get MTV, and then you get almost Panic. I'm trying to think who was the first person I worked with on MTV, possibly Rod. I'm not sure. But anyway, so then the big thing that then came along was Motley Crue.
I mean, that vision, when you open up that, it just, there's so much. I could look into that picture like high art. I mean, it was just, because a lot of people that I grew up with, we got that album, then we went backwards to Too Fast for Love. It was just talk about that. Like, you designed that. I mean, there's so much going on.
Well, it took the band for me to get to that. I mean, I remember going down to SIR to meet with them. And when you get called a phone call, could you come and meet with this band? The record company wants to know if you like meet them. Like I said, it's an audition. You've got 5 minutes. They like you or they don't. You know, they've already checked out what you do.
Right.
Are you going to come to the party? You know. So you get down to SIR and you've got, you know, I just always call them, they were like monkeys then, you know, they were just, you know, Tommy Lee was just, he's 19 years of age and he's just, boom, 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 you know, his head moves like he's got sticks on it, you know, he's just amazing. And so I went, oh, this will be fun, you know. So you leave and then you wait for the next day, and then Doug Thaler calls me and he goes, oh, they love you, you're in, they want to meet with you again, and so on and so on. So you meet with them and you talk about stuff, and when something came up on the Instagram, it was the 40 years since Shout at the Devil or something. And I just wrote a little clip in it saying, you know, some days you get up, you're not sure what you're going to do. Other days you get up, you get a phone call. Can you come meet these guys? And your world just goes whack, you know.
You did that to our world. You kept a lot of kids out of college doing those pictures, man.
You know, so and you don't know when you're in it. You don't know. You don't know when you're in a moment. You don't. And as you get older, I finally think I know when I'm in a moment. I work with some kids on a boat before the pandemic. I go, we're in something now. You officially, you start to go, okay, this is something. This is something. This is different. This, with a bit of luck, won't happen again in your lifetime. But, you know, so you do that. And then the more you sat and talked to them, and I have to say at this time, I remember going down to a club on Sunset Boulevard and they did a show, and, you know, and I'm watching Vince and he's doing Too Fast for Love, you know, and he's just going at a pace. The whole band's going, and I'm going, oh my God, they're insane, you know, but you feed off of it. You can't help yourself, you know. And so, you know, I said, okay, cool. And then Nikki and I sat and talked, and he mentioned that after my bit, you know, he made the comment that when we spoke, he said to me, I want something that is Escape from New York to Mad Max. And then he said, and then you ran with it, you know. So then I started doing pictures, and I looked at it as being a cross of Genghis Khan to American Native, to warriors, you know, to Hannibal, you know, to history, you know. And I just looked at all of these warrior characters, you know, that existed. And then you go, well, thank God for my, you know, years of high school European history and art history.
That's going into these outfits. That's going into that.
Yeah, in English literature, poetry, imagery. You know what I mean?
There's so much more there. It's just like,
you know, so I start doing the drawings, and I do all this, and then as we get close and we're doing the drawings and we're breaking it down and we're doing this, and I'm going, now, who wants to be what in it, you know? You know, and so Nikki was very much the black and red blood. Like, you may have seen the photo session that I think Niels Lozauer did with him by himself, and he's literally just got, I've forgotten what they used. It wasn't blood, but it was red. I don't know. And it's just thrown all over him. Yeah, you know, and that was really this, you better be scared of me.
But never as fake as Kiss. They still didn't go full superhero. That's what was wild about it. It still was an element of street.
Exactly. And I remember seeing a picture that came up on Instagram, and I commented on it, and I said, yeah, now that's the picture we want. Now they've beat the shit out of the clothes. You know, they're getting tattered, they're getting nasty, they're almost too new, and like a new penny in the photos. Almost too perfect, you know what I mean?
Well, it's like Converse. You get your Converse, you want to beat them in. Any warning?
Yes, exactly. No one wants new jeans. No. And so, you know, so they then, like he says to me that I took what he wanted and ran with it. Then when I gave them the toys in the toy box, they played dress ups and they fucked it up. You know what I mean? They gave it what their meaning was. This get out on the road, this bunch of guys. There was one thing that Nikki said to me, which really held true. He said, Fleur, when you're doing it, I want, if you put 5 guys together, one out of each different band, you know, whether it was Black Sabbath or whether it was this or whether it was just, you know, whatever. And he said, and then you took one of us, we would stick out like dog's balls.
Dead on. There was, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we would be different. You know,
nothing like it. It was nothing like
thing where I've had people say, oh, it was a bit of a mimic of Kiss.
Oh, come on. I mean, I get, but that's like Pulp Fiction was a bit of a mimic of bad 70s TV. Not that Kiss was bad, you know what I mean?
It was very different, and you couldn't have more different personalities from Kiss to those others. I mean, you know, when we get into Kiss and you say about, you know, how did you have the balls to take them out of that stuff? I didn't take them out. They rang me to do it. I was terrified. I was terrified for the backlash, you know, of that. So with Motley, it was like watching I've given birth to these kids. I've raised them. Hopefully I've taught them manners, and hopefully they can go out in the big world and just take care of it, you know. And so the pride, I mean, you know, the more it got messy and junky. Oh. And I always remember saying to the wardrobe girl, because people ask me, how many changes of that outfit did they have? I said, one.
No way.
No, yeah.
I mean, those outfits at the US Festival, when you're looking, going, that is it, that is everything.
That's it. That's all you've got. They wouldn't, I mean, there were arguments about the costing of this. There were arguments across the board. And I, at the time, and I mentioned it to Nikki, we were chatting in a DM one day, and I said to him, I said, look, I don't think I've ever had this conversation with you, but I want you to know, if Doc had backed out, I would have paid for everything. Because I knew in 6 months' time, you were going to be multimillionaires. You know, so I wasn't concerned. But I said, there was no way this was not going to happen. And he goes, you see, in the comments he made, I'll leave him. But, you know, but anyway, he just said, well, that's the difference of those as us that have guts and glory, you know, that go for it. But that was how, there are certain things you do in your life. I looked at Van Halen and I went, huge. They're going to be the master. They're going to change rock and roll, really, really change it and open the door. Because rock and roll before that was your ELOs, it was your Chicagos. Yeah. I mean, early Journey, early Jefferson Starship. You know what I mean? There was that great music, but, you know, imagery, no. And so to have Motley Crue go off like that, I was so thrilled. But then they made it their own, and that was the best part. That was the best part. When Nicky started ripping stuff and his knees started going out of his pants. And, oh, what did I say? The wardrobe girl said to me, how on earth do I care for them? She said, they're getting putrid.
I'm sure, one set.
And I said, when they come off the stage, get the shoes off and just tell them to walk straight into the showers.
So they walk into the shower.
Yeah, they're so wet. Just let the shower run over them and wash. Because I said, otherwise you're going to get mildew, you know, on them. It's not going to work. And I said, because they're so wet, the water will wash the salt out from their sweat. And I said, then just roll them up in a towel. When you get to the next gig, put them out to air. Well, you know, then I had to convince her. And when you have that 3 shows on, 1 day off, 3 shows on, you need to take those clothes with you and air them in the room. Because if you leave them in the truck for 24 hours, they're not going to be nice, you know. So, but that was the thing of it. It became like their second skins. You know, it's almost like now when you watch the Marvel comics. Yeah. You know, standing there and the skin, their thing comes over and clamps over them, and now they become this other person.
And nothing was even. Like, that's what I love. They had a thing here, a thing, so many trinkets to look at. It wasn't like even Kiss was even. There was, like you say, so Mad Max. I mean, those pictures were why a lot of us moved. Obviously, the music is incredible, and it takes this huge jump on Shout at the Devil with the producer, with Nicky's genius. Nicky is the genius.
Yeah, yeah.
But without that picture, we're moving to California. People go, "Why'd you move to California?" Nicky Six, like, and between them and Guns N' Roses, we all went. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like, and that vision when you open that album and the thought, like, oh my God, you can be bigger than yourself. Yeah. Look at this. Amazing. Speaking of fear, so you put Motley Crue in that, and you take Kiss out, and I have to say, I think I'm more of a fan of it than you were. You put them. I would watch that MTV Unmasking of Kiss. It was time. I saw Kiss in 2nd grade in the makeup. I've been a fan. I thought Lick It Up in that era was amazing. Just all the different colors, and it was huge. I think it was awesome.
So you missed the bit where Gene Simmons said, "I felt like Auntie Mame"?
I've heard it all, but I disagree. I think him walking when it went from the waist up, that it was great. And I think it all holds up. And I love the Motley Crue-esque apocalyptic arms reaching at them, what it was all put against. It was awesome.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's good. I think that for me, the only thing, and I'm pretty sure the director was the same director who did Battlefield with Pat Benatar. And, you know, he was, you know, and I think he was really breaking in, and I think they chose to use him for Lick It Up. Now, normally I've worked with Marty Kellner a lot, you know, and he would always have a meeting with me saying, look, you know, the guys, they're in your life 9 months of the year. I've got them for a day. How do we work and what do we do? How do we get the best out of them? What are their personalities like? So on and so on. And I think because we spent that time and I was there to help Marty get the best out of them, I think is why Marty's got some of the best videos.
Yeah. Oh, Pat Bennett's work. That's, oh my God. I don't know his resume, but
you know, because he started to learn. A lot of the directors, when they first started, they were commercial directors. Okay. You know what I mean? Like the Russell Mulcahy's and the Brian Grants and the Mulaney's. But the thing is, when you're shooting commercials, if the tomato starts looking a bit off, you just swap the tomato.
Yeah.
You can't swap the lead singer.
No.
You've got to learn that the close-ups come first and the long shots later, because hair and makeup is just exhausted.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want them too nice. The women is one thing, but the men have got to look a bit real, like they are on stage, you know, like they're really putting it out, you know. So I never spoke to the director.
Okay.
For Liquor. I had no idea what we were doing or walking into. And when we got to Hell's Kitchen, where it was shot, and all the police cars are there and everything, you know, and I'm trying to dress them from a caravan, and we really didn't know what we were doing, you know. But I mean, they were ready to do it. But the first time when they were dressed and they're on just walking along, you know. Yeah. And for me, you always protect the star. You protect them. You know what I mean? They had no protection. Okay. This is the first time in their life they're walking to a camera without makeup, without their gear, without their power. Yeah. And if you look at it, they're not sure. You know, they're moving, they're walking, but they're not, it's not the same energy, you know, that what was before. And it was sort of like, well, you know, what can I do to help them? You know, there was a lot of second guessing. Does this work? Does that work? But we're more or less doing it on the run, on the set, you know, boom, 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 boom. And I sort of felt in some ways that, oh, well, so long as we've got some hot chicks sitting on the table half nude singing Lick It Up. Yeah. We're through. You know, we're through. You know what I mean?
I like the apocalypticness of it, grabbing at them, but it worked, man. I mean, you inherited Star Wars. This is like, I mean, it's like a mythology. It's like, oh, make Star Wars without the outfits. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Well, good luck with that. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what you were told to do. And I loved it. I think a lot of us, but when a band's great, people love commenting on it. And it gave us material to just
well, I think also too, for the first time, so this is Paul Stanley. Oh, this is Eric Carr. You know what I mean? It was all sort of new to people, adapting to not just the music and the makeup and the grandeur. This is all now cut back. It's simple. It's clean. It's, you know, but I think it just wasn't that. I think any artist, when you put them doing live on stage with guitars and microphones and lighting, it wouldn't matter where you put them. Yeah. They're content. You know, it's this comfort zone. Yeah. You take them out of the comfort zone and walk them up a street. To them, it was just so new, you know, just new. And I, you know, that motherly instinct came out where you're sort of going, you pat them on the bottom and go, oh, off you go, children, go play in the park, you know. But I was nervous for them as to what, I mean, I was nervous for me. You know, I thought, oh, I'm going to get such a shellacking.
It worked great. I mean, hey, there's if the video wasn't good, they wouldn't still be, because that's video era. You know, they're still playing "Lick It Up," still one of the biggest songs in concert. You know what I mean? Exactly.
And the song was a great song. So there you go again. You know, and I think fans are fans, and fans are forgiving. You know, they're whatever. And I mean, for me, even the meetings about it. I was living in New York, you know, with Billy and stuff, and so I went over to have meetings with them, and they were talking about it. And I'm going, I don't know that I've ever gone to a Kiss show, you know, one of those things. And and they're saying, and I'm sort of going, and why are you taking it off? You know, I mean, I didn't get into the financial part of this. I had no idea how many records they'd sold from, say, 75 to 80. I don't know if crowds had dropped. You know, I knew nothing about anything. This was this decision that I'm told to do this. I'm not sure who told them to call me. You know, like I said, I didn't have an agent. And so I got the phone call and to go and to talk to them about what they wanted and so on and so on. So we got better, of course, as we got to know each other too, and where we wanted to go. And of course, Paul took it on brilliantly. You know, Paul absolutely was the most likely to jump onto everything.
Yeah.
You know, he's a great front man. You know, he can get into the audience, you know, and I think that for him, he'd had to hide behind makeup for so long. And now he could get out there and smile and chat to the audience, and they could actually see his face and see his whatever, you know. So now he was a real person. I think he thoroughly enjoyed having that with the audience, and I think they loved too. And at this time, you know, Bruce Kulick, you know, as we got further in, we don't have Vinnie Vincent with us. Yeah. And so we've got Bruce, and Bruce was ready to take it on, you know, and Gene was too. I mean, they were ready to try anything, but some things worked better than others. Some things were more comfortable than us, you know. I remember shooting Animalized cover, I think it is, with all the animal skins and everything.
Yes,
and we shot that out at a quarry somewhere in upstate New York or somewhere outside of New York, freezing cold. You could see our breath, you know, which was a problem for the video. And so, and I could see for the first time, they were a bit more relaxed in what they were doing and singing. And then slowly it went on. And then I remember going to London with them, and David Mallet did, oh God. Bruce Kulick's in the band, Eric is still in the band. And we did 2 videos back to back in London, and they're really where I call them the pina colada pant, not pina colada.
Tears Are Falling, I think is one of them, right? Yeah.
Tears Are Falling was definitely one of them. But the pinata pants, you know how in Mexico you get the things hanging off them. Well, that's what we call Paul's pants, the pinata pants that he had. They just had fabric all over them, you know. But he was really into the state of mind now of rock star.
Yeah.
You know, of just 100%, you know. And so admittedly, being there to shoot those 2 videos with them, I could really see it had grown on them.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Far more relaxed, far more getting into each other on stage, shifting about on stage, not just being Paul here, you know, Bruce over here on the left.
That's what you're saying, yeah.
They were becoming a band.
Yeah, again, becoming a new band, 2 halves, like a Van Halen, where you have 2 halves of the band, essentially 2 careers inside of one band. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And I think the thing is that there's all these fans that had accepted them as that band.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I suppose it's like a marriage where you think you've married somebody, you think this is who you know they are. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, well, which one are you? You know, and I think the fans a bit got caught in the middle till it started to really generate.
Okay.
They got over that they didn't have the thing on. And I'm not sure, did they do 4 albums with the makeup off? Was it about 1990 or something that they put it back on?
Oh, 96. I don't know how many albums.
Was it that far? Was it that far on?
I think I might not have my dates, but I think it was 96 because I moved up here. But oh God, I love the whole non-makeup era. And I love Lick It Up. I was a kid that saw them at Madison Square Garden in '78, and when they went waist up, I was like, that's it. So it's like the Van Halen thing. Tons of patterns, jeans looking mean, apocalyptic, great song. Vinny and the Rising Sun shirt. I just felt it. You know what I mean?
I think too, it was the sort of thing. It's funny how if you to be successful, you wait to see if you mimicked, you know, that adds to it. It's particularly in fashion and things like that. But here was the thing that as soon as we saw the kids were really mimicking, but really, really well, it was time to shift.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Now they've all got what you've got, you know, they've found their ways of doing it, which I thought was really cool, you know, with the scarves and the ties or things tied around the legs or sneakers, you know, shredded, whatever it was. But it was great to see it was giving them something. They were part of the army.
Yeah.
They were Kiss followers, true and true. You know, yes, they might have put the makeup on for the makeup days, but they really couldn't do the whole thing, you know, but this allowed them to be the junkyard dog, you know, and just get into it, you know, and rock on, and who cares.
I was playing a roller rink, and I was able to get purple spandex at the woman's store and tie different and I taught and cut holes and tie different bandanas. Look, I'm Paul Stanley now. That's what I did. I have pictures. I can send you a picture. I'll send you.
And you could go to the chicks. You could go to the chick shop, get a long dark wig, slap it on, and you'd be for autographs.
Yeah, that's what I did. Just tie the bandanas, cut the purple spandex up, and I look like one of Fleur's guys here. You know what I mean? Like, done deal.
Sometimes I looked at that and I really did feel bad taste is timeless. You know, it just.
I don't think it's bad.
Bad taste.
It's so colorful and so vibrant, and that's why everybody's going back to it. And everybody, you know,
Yes.
it's such a, you know, it's people are going back to it because it's just so vibrant.